I hate horror games. Obviously that makes it an excellent idea to platinum 2 of the scariest mascot horror games available on PlayStation. The game is Poppy Playtime. And, well, yeah, it was an awful idea. This is how it all went down.
You are about to see the most incredible doll ever invented.
Poppy Playtime! I'm a real girl, just like you.
Time Co. is now offering factory tours at just $2.99 a person.
Entering the factory, the game immediately starts off by feeding me these weird VHS tapes. They're collectibles, but also show the lore of the game, and why I'm even here in the first place.
My name is Leif Pierre, and I'm the head of innovation here at the Playtime Co. Toy Factory. Well, this facility is full of hidden motion triggers, which, once set off, will turn on the factory's emergency alarms and directly contact the authorities.
Who has time for slow world building, right? So I did what any sane person does. Went straight to game theory. Apparently, Playtime Co. stores their door codes as toy trains in publicly accessible rooms. Sick security system. So I used that to access the security room where I found the blue tape and the grab pack. This is essentially how to interact with everything here. It unlocks doors, picks things up, and well, that's about it at the moment, but I'm sure there'll be other uses for it at some point. Using the grab pack, I can now unlock the door in the main reception area and enter a new room. It seems to be some kind of exhibit for one of Playtime Co.'s toys, Huggy Wuggy. It looks like a massive problem, so I immediately press this big red button and it starts to play his theme tune. And I hate that I kind of like it. I found myself humming it at work and all sorts. That's how they get you. Once the song finishes, I earn a trophy for my troubles. Seems like the next logical step is to make our way through another grab pack locked door. Trying that short circuits the electrical output and I need to fix it. The electrical room's door is locked, but thankfully my new bestie Huggy gives me the key to get in. Nice one. Cheers, man. I don't know how many health and safety violations I've made so far, but I rewired the electricity despite not being a professional and somehow managed not to electrocute myself. Now that the power's back on, I reckon I can get through the door I tried it. Where's Huggy gone? Great. I'm sure that won't come back to bite me, right? I make my way down a new corridor and I notice that there's a blue and yellow arm slithering around the door. Now, because I'm unbelievably clever, I deduce that it must be Huggy's arm, and he's leading me into a dark corner of the factory to kill me or something. Nah, probably not. Making my way into some kind of warehouse, I come across the yellow VHS player and make sure to keep an eye out for the yellow tape. This warehouse seems to have one control panel, and the only way to activate it is with helpfully colour-coded cubes. For some reason. Seems like the entire factory was designed for children to operate heavy machinery, which feels pretty illegal. But who am I to judge? Along with one of these batteries, I found the yellow tape, and playing it I hear an excerpt from a dude called Rich talking about how the warehouse is so dishevelled, and it's all some sort of orphan's fault, which, yeah, of course. Blame the orphans, right? Using the little batteries, I noticed my pal Huggy lurking in the vent, watching me. Love that. I managed to reactivate the claw grabby thing in the warehouse, and doing so brings me the other half of the grab pack. Cool. Now I can still grab stuff and unlock doors. Sick. I make my way through a conveyor belt shaft and end up in another electrical circuit area. Using my knowledge from my experience as a Sparky from earlier, I managed to repower the area and activate the conveyor that I'm standing on. Doing so drops me into some kind of interactive exhibit from when they offered factory tours, and by the look of things, I'm going to be making some kind of toy to take home with me, like some kind of twisted Build-A-Bear. Heading upstairs, there's another VHS player, and I again keep an eagle eye out for the tape I need. I'm sure I won't miss it. I'll definitely pick it up as soon as I see it, right? There's another electrical situation going on up here, and at this point I'm pretty confused. There've been so many electrical circuits to reconnect so far that I'm starting to think Playtime Co. just had an on-call team of electricians who ran around, rerouted power, whatever, whenever it was needed. Should hire me, I'm proper good at these puddles. Eventually I do end up finding that pink VHS tape, and it's an excerpt from an interview with Stella, who will later become an important figure in the second chapter.
What made you want to work at the Playtime Co. factory?
She sounds a little bit too eager to join the company, if you ask me, so it is probably a good job that I'm not Playtime Co.'s hiring manager. Back down on the ground now, I activate the Build-A-Bear and manage to create whatever this thing is, and I grab another trophy for creating him. Apparently, he's a cat bee, and he is kind of cute. He is kind of cute, to be fair. Hopefully, he doesn't come alive and try to eat me. Using my new pal Cat Bee, I unlock a door and I proceed further into the factory. I'm starting to get worried at this point because I haven't seen Huggy. Never mind, found him. So, this is where I realise I need to run away from this Five Nights at Freddy's reject, and I escape through a conveyor belt shaft. This is genuinely terrifying, with Huggy running after me and appearing around corners, but I do eventually manage to escape him. Almost. Second time lucky though, I managed to escape him, and I pull a conveniently placed heavy crate from a shelf down onto a bridge that I'm stood on, and I knock Huggy Wuggy down into the endless abyss. How big is this place? With Huggy gone, I progress onwards and I come across the final VHS tape. Playing that one discusses the prototype and how it somehow escaped. I already knew that. Shout out to my pal Game Theory. Playing that final tape earns me the collectible trophy for this chapter, and I make my way through some kind of house inside the factory. Standard, yeah. Standard. In here there is a Conjuring or Annabelle situation going on with some kind of bizarre doll locked in a case. I haven't seen either of those movies, so obviously I open it, and this is what was waiting for me.
You opened my case.
That was the end of chapter 1, and I earned my final trophy for finishing the game. Yeah. Can't wait for chapter 2. Yeah, it gets worse. It starts with another creepy advert. This one introduces Mommy Long-Legs, who's the main antagonist for this game. She's basically just Stretch Armstrong, but pink and significantly scarier. There's also this thing that tells me to wake up, which is already a problem, considering I've just freed a sentient doll. The game puts me in right where I left off, in Poppy's room. This time there's no doll in the case, and turning around I find a door that opens up into a whole new section of the factory. Seriously, how is this factory still going? Running down this hall I'm greeted by a voice telling me to keep going, which... Not a fan of that. I come across a great big red door, and since it's locked I make my way around the hall to where it seems something broke the floor. A helpful poster tells me I can use a grab pack to swing across the gap. Finally have a new use for this thing. I make my way into the room. This one only has a cardboard cutout of my ex-best friend Huggy. After everything he put me through, I knocked him over and I earned a trophy for my sweet revenge. Knocking him over gains me access to a room with the whole purpose of hiding this massive key. Kinda feels like overkill. The key has a red poppy on it, which leads me to believe it's probably to unlock the big red door I found earlier. Unlocking that door brings me into Leith Pierre's office. He's one of the important people behind Playtime Co, and on his desk I find a bunch of collectibles. The first is a statuette, earning me the trophy for picking it up. I find the brown VHS tape as well as a report of Experiment 814. Unfortunately, finding these 3 items means I'm going to have to try and pay attention to them throughout the game. Sick.
Playtime Co.
Watching the tape, I'm introduced to Elliot Ludwig. He has a censored face for some reason, and it kind of reminds me of Spy Kids. I hope someone gets that reference. From what I gather from the tape, and definitely not game theory, the tragic loss of his daughter caused him to put all his effort into Playtime Co. Probably made these toys fucking evil. I head through a massive vent, which gives me flashbacks to Huggy, and I enter into a garage of sorts. It's in here that a huge box falls from a shelf, and I finally meet Poppy. She thanks me for freeing her and asks for my help as an experienced sparker. She goes on to tell me that there's a train station within the factory because, of course, and she knows the code to get it working. She promises she'll give it to me at some point, and I'm sure she won't betray me or anything like that, right? Once the power's restored, she asks me to follow her back up to Ludwig's office. Clearly I'm blind and I can't see the thing I'm supposed to use my grab back on, and Poppy gets upset. I felt bad at first, but then I popped a trophy, so never mind. Following Poppy through the factory, we stumble across a huge hole, and she tells me she needs me to trust her. Something emerges from the hole and pulls her down. I can't see the bottom of this hole, so I just jump down it and hope for the best. Thankfully, it turns into a slide halfway down, and I come out into a hub of sorts. Different slides with different names above them. Hang on. Was a hole intentionally there? How did that massive hole link up perfectly with a slide that has Elliot Ludwig's name above it? It feels planned. Continuing on, I made my way down an ominous corridor with a red grab pack lock at the end. I use the grab... What the hell is that? A huge spider-like creature jumps down from the ceiling. I instinctively slap her, earning a trophy, and she introduces herself as Mommy, which is a problem. She has this weird roleplay thing going on with my new pal Poppy, and I'm really not a fan of that, so it does become my mission to rescue her. She goes on a villainous monologue and basically tells me that she's going to make me play some games to earn the train code instead of Poppy just giving it to me, which just seems mildly annoying rather than evil, until she mentions that if I break any rules, she's going to eat me alive.
And eat your insides while you're still alive.
She leaves and the locked door opens for me, revealing the game station. This is basically a massive playground, and inside one of the slides I see another golden statuette, which I pick up and I earn a trophy for. Almost immediately after, I see another one in the rafters and I pick that up too. I feel like this one's some kind of spoiler, to be honest. It resembles a massive clawed hand, and I've not really met anything like that. And he's probably not a friend, really, is it? Pulling a lever, I activate a familiar voiceover. I guess Stella got the job then. She tells me that the first game to play is Musical Memory. Before that though, I need to repair the grab pack. I come across a machine that will build me a new hand, and I find the green tape here too. The green tape tells me how to use the new hand that I don't have yet, and basically just takes electricity from one point and delivers it to another. At the end of these games, I reckon I could apply for a job as a sparker with the amount of electrical puzzles I have to do. I finish building the green hand and I pick up another statuette. With 2 grab pack hands now equipped, I earn a trophy for taking charge. I see what you did there. And I continue into Musical Memory. The game is basically just Simon Says, if Simon was a murderous bunny rabbit. It starts off pretty simple, but it quickly feels impossible. I do start to feel like the game is rigged, to be honest, so I hit the emergency stop button. For completing Musical Memory, I earned a trophy, and somehow I earn another for beating it perfectly. Mommy doesn't seem too impressed by this, but she gives me the first third of the train code anyways, and asks me to head back to the game station to play the next game. On my way out of the room, the bridge falls down, obviously, and I instead make my way through a vent and into a huge warehouse. In this warehouse, I come across a cardboard cutout of a dinosaur. He's called Bron, and he's pretty funny. Or at least, I think so. Apparently they're bad jokes.
What do you call a dino with one eye? Do you think he saw us?
Once I listen to all his jokes, I earn a trophy for it. As well as not recording the cyan tape, I find a statue of Bron sitting on a lift. Pressing the button, it tells me he's overweight. It's a bit harsh, but I've got things to do, so I quickly move on and activate the crane in the warehouse, and I use it to pick up another golden statuette, before then using it to move Bron out the way. Moving on, I make my way back to the game station and activate the lever to play the second game, Wuggy Wuggy.
Next game is Wuggy Wuggy. Head down.
This one's basically whack-a-mole, but everything wants to kill me. I'm starting to notice a trend in these. There are 2 trophies available for this game, one for completing it and the other one for not using the flashlight whilst playing it. So I cheated, I turned my brightness all the way up. Listen, it was really dark without it. It is a fairly straightforward game and I do manage to complete it without dying. Mommy decides to reward me for my effort with the second train code, though I sense an air of anger in her voice, which doesn't feel great.
Only one game left to play.
I make my way through yet another vent and onto a rainbow staircase. It's broken like just about everything else in this factory, so I use the grab pack to grapple up. Along the way, I spot another golden statuette and I pick it up. I'm starting to wonder why all these statues are all over the place, but I don't dwell on the question too long as I come across a cardboard cutout of a cat. Cats are probably the best pets in the world, so I spend some time with him, and I press the button to activate his voice lines. His whole premise is that he essentially wants to eat candy, which is a bit on the nose for a cat called Candy Cat. Feeding him, he eventually tells me to stop, which I don't, making him vomit. I don't know, just this awful noise came out of him. And I earned a trophy for it, so I don't feel too bad. Moving away from this weird cat guy, I come across a minecart track. Following this, there's a locked gate. What the hell is that? Is that pink? Apparently that one's Kissy Missy. Who is coming up with these names, man? Kissy Missy does trigger my PTSD, but she seems pretty friendly and unlocks the gate for me. I want to get to know her, but she quickly disappears around a corner and seemingly disappears into thin air. Come across more tracks and I have to complete a puzzle to pull a cart, called Barry, through the track to smash through a barrier. Along the way I find another tape and listen to that one. Is that Jacksepticeye? It talks about seeing a huge spider, which is definitely a problem.
Ain't no person that's 50 feet long with 1,000 legs.
I see a hole in the floor, so without seeing the bottom I jump down it and I hope it's going to be another random slide. It's not, but the fall's not too far, so I'm fine. Drops me a short walk away from the game station, so I head back and I pull the last lever. This time I'm going to be playing statues. This one's just musical statues, but you guessed it, there's an evil animal that's going to kill me if I move when I'm not supposed to. And now, it's time for the hardest part of the whole game. I don't care what anybody says, and if you've gone for the platinum, you completely understand what's coming. Entering the statues area, a tape automatically starts playing, as with all the other games. This time I decided to turn off my flashlight with the idea of having the option of zooming in on it if I wanted to in editing. Huge mistake, because of this guy, PJ Pugapilla. The problems mostly arise when I get to the kind of monkey bars section. Using the grab pack I have to grapple onto these rings. The only problem is that whenever the music stops, the grab pack makes me continue swinging around. Thankfully, on my second go around, I managed to get past the monkey bars and onto the tunnel sections. They're labelled as easy, medium and hard, but I don't really trust them and I choose the hard option. About halfway through, I come across yet another golden statuette, and thankfully picking it up doesn't count as moving. The tunnels is a parkour section. Genuinely, stupidly difficult parkour. Every jump feels impossible. I failed the jumps a fair few times, but thankfully I can just walk on the floor beneath it, albeit slowly. Towards the end of this section there seems to be nowhere to go, though there is a grab pack bar thingy on a wall, and somehow I managed to spot it. Using that pulls me smashing through a window and I earn a trophy for completing statues. In this room I also pick up 2 more of the law papers that I need for Avid Reader. This is probably the first main milestone of the game, as it's the third and final game that Mommy, still here that that's her name, told me I had to play to earn the train code. She seems pretty upset that I didn't fall for a rigged game and tells me I cheated. Hypocrite. So I jump down another hole and I break my legs. But not for long. I managed to carry on through tunnels and maintenance shafts until I come across a water treatment plant. Apparently, this factory wants me to train in plumbing as well as being a sparky. On one side of the water treatment platforms there's a locked door which needs a toy to be unlocked, much like the Cat B section from Chapter 1. Seems like this water treatment plant was intended to have kids play around in it, which feels like a massive health and safety violation, but I'm sure they were all fine. I managed to manoeuvre the platforms to gain access to a room full of Bunzo bunny toys. I need to use a lift and push some buttons to be able to direct one to me, and for some bizarre reason I can use the grab pack to push the buttons, but I can't use it to grab one of the Bunzos off of the conveyor. But I can use it to pick up a golden statuette from the same conveyor. Consistency. On my way back to the platform controls, I pick up another tape. This one is from someone who thinks they're Woody Harrelson's character from Now You See Me, and he's convinced that he can predict people's favourite colours. Mine's orange, if anybody cares. Moving the platforms once again, I gain access to the toy key door thingy, and I earn a trophy for completing the water treatment plant by only moving the platforms 8 times. By now, I can almost smell the platinum. Until I come across another room with an electrical circuit puzzle in it. It's in here that I find the red tape, and playing that one shows a company-wide PSA about the huge spider that Jacksepticeye described earlier. Apparently it doesn't exist, which I find hard to believe based on the huge cobwebs I see knocking about all over this facility. But I move on. I walk a little further and continue to make my way through the factory. I use my grab pack to reach... Oh dear, she does not seem happy. Mommy wants to play hide and seek and begins to count down. The door's locked and I can't go anywhere. And when she reaches 1... Well, I earned a trophy for being rubbish at hide and seek, so that's a bonus. Trying again, I realise the door isn't locked. I'm just an idiot. I've run through halls and conveyor shafts, terrified that maybe she'll catch up with me. She doesn't seem to want to play anymore. Weird. Oh, never mind. She chases me through a corridor and I use the grab pack to grapple up to the ceiling to hang from a small pipe. She seems to be blind because I left my flashlight on while looking down and she didn't even bat an eye. Not too sure if she's still hanging about or not, so I stay here, terrified. But I earned a trophy for it, so that's alright. Jumping back down, I continue through the warehouses and corridors and come across some kind of furnace. I didn't realise it was a furnace until I thought I had to get in it. Trophy pop though, so I guess it's not the end of the world. Trying again, I can use a furnace properly this time and use it to create a cog to open a gate. It works, and I carry on down through the... Jesus Christ, she's back. This time, there's no hole in the ceiling to escape to, so I instead go back into the furnace, making sure not to activate it this time. She disappears, I think, so I'll leave and carry on trying to escape the factory. Nope, she's back. Seriously, she's just baiting me at this point. I walk. Every time I walk around the corner, she's there. Turning right, I carry on through a corridor. The walls and ceiling crumble around me, forcing my direction. I enter a pipe and Mummy's arms stretch through it to try to catch me. Genuinely, how is she doing this while also supposedly being behind her? I managed to make my way through the area to escape, and I get back to the main section of the factory. Seems like I managed to escape her, so I breathe a sigh of relief and use my grab pack to unlock the door at the end of the corridor. Jesus, just leave me alone. This story is clearly built for dramatic effect as it opens slower than anything I've ever seen in my entire life. It eventually opens and I manage to duck around a corner just in time for Mommy to slam into the huge machine and get her arm stuck. This machine looks like some kind of industrial shredder, so I pull the lever. Despite her incessant screams about someone taking her, she's finally gone. I can finally escape this What the hell is that thing? Looks like one of the statuettes I picked up earlier. I think this is the prototype that some of the tapes have hinted at. It is. Cheers, game theory. This left me with more questions than answers, but I'm happy that I can finally leave this place. I make my way up through some stairs and coming across a final VHS tape. Playing that one earns me avid listener, and it discusses how Huggy Wuggy was a perfect result for the Bigger Bodies program.
Experiment 1170, Huggy Wuggy, remains the optimal outcome due to...
I move on and come out onto another gantry. I immediately flash back to the end of chapter 1, but make my way across nonetheless. I'm above the game station, and I make my way into some kind of control room, where I find the final items required for avid reader and see Poppy webbed to a shelf. I help her, and she gives me the final section of the train code. I make my way through a slide and get on the train. Thankful that Poppy and I can finally escape this hellhole. I pull the whistle a few times and I input the code. I'm escaping. There's no way I can begin to describe the things I've been through in this factory. I might not have been able to save the staff who are supposedly trapped here, but I think that's the least of my worries. Maybe I can take the evidence to the police, bring Poppy with me. We could maybe get the military in here. What? Why? Why have I been betrayed? Why has Poppy changed the track direction? The train speeds up uncontrollably. Even though I'm experienced as a sparky and a plumber, I've never driven a train before. So, pulling the brake, I caused the train to derail. Whoops. I earned the trophy for finishing the game, but I'm not done yet. There's still 2 trophies left to earn. One for completing the game in 45 minutes or less, and one for completing the game without dying. The game is pretty short and easy, so it shouldn't be too hard, but thanks to PJ Puckapilla, it is. Honestly, I had so many runs that were ruined by that one little guy. I cheated. But honestly, I feel like I had to. I used the PS Plus cloud save to keep a save point before each of the mini games, just in case. And it is a good job too, because when I started using cloud saves, Bunzo killed me musical memory for the first time, which were pretty embarrassing to be honest. I did manage it though, and I earned both trophies. After hours of suffering through speedruns, dying to PJ, dying to Mommy, even dying to fall damage once, I did it. I earned the platinum. Why on the web? See, this game left me with more questions than I had answers for. I'm dying to play chapter 3 and 4 now. They're definitely coming, just not today.